we move to the superintendent's report.
All right. Hopefully Ryan is- Thank you, Chair Moss. One of our, oops. All right, thank you, Chair Moss. This is a wonderful break in the day because we get to talk about student art. So Jamie, if you will come forward. And just as she's getting settled in, how many of you look at art the first thing when you walk in this room to get settled into your seat? How many of you look at art first thing to see what's up? Yeah, all of you do. Isn't that just the best? Like, before you even settle in, who am I surrounded by? What am I surrounded by today? So let's hear what we're surrounded by, Jamie.
Thank you, guys. I am Jamie Workman. I'm the USB BTS Arts Specialist, and we have two amazing groups of art today. Here on my left is a wonderful display from the Salt Lake School District from BTS Arts educator Suzanne Mallory, and she is at Edison Elementary. And she worked with her K through 3rd students to meet a certain science standards. I'm not going to go into those standards because I wanted to talk about something that happened while we were putting this up. Another staff member came in and taught me something. What a group of iguanas is called. Can anyone tell me what a group of iguanas is called? I know, the ravens. It is called a mess.
Great.
And having that opportunity to connect over something like a mess was just made me really happy yesterday when we were putting this up. So then I had to go in and find the other animals that are very represented. So bunnies, you can call them a herd, that's traditional, but you can also now call them a fluffle. A group of hedgehogs, which are represented in the art, the traditional is an array, but is now changing to a prickle. So having this moment of just joy, seeing these little pieces of art that students had the opportunity to create, led to a fantastic conversation and even looking up more information. So I really appreciated that chance that this art gave me. And then on my right-hand side is art from Canyon School District, from East Sandy Elementary. The BTS Arts teacher is Andrea Looker. And what was amazing about this is she put kind of her last year's favorites into a compilation. So K through 5 is represented here, and there's two I would really like to point out. The one that has the math on it, all the students got to create a math equation. They had to make sure it was correct, and then they did it through the style of Jasper Johns, an American pop artist, which I loved having that American art history in there with math. The other one I really liked for me is the trees in winter. That is also a science standard about how some birds migrate and how the structure of the tree survives and different structures work. And all that is, that beautiful tree is wise. So it was made by 2nd graders drawing wise. And I feel like that is an amazing opportunity that it turned out so pleasant to look at. Well, all it is drawing wise. So thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I hope you enjoy it. Yes.
Thank you.
I can't let her go without.
Yeah, questions, comments, and
Yay.
okay, well, let's clap and then have comments. Absolutely. I just want to object to whatever karma gives some of us the ability to take depositions and some get to create this. I don't know. Joe probably joins in my objection. I don't. That's awesome.
Do you happen to know anything
I'm
about the one
objecting to
above?
karma. Yes.
The perspective drawing?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. That was 5th grade perspective drawing, and it was a social studies tie-in to a book called Reading with the President, and which takes place in the redwood forest.
So that's a redwood forest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then we've got the leaf over there with the caterpillar.
That is a kindergarten lesson about what certain things need to have to survive. So the caterpillar
see.
needs to have leaves to
I see.
eat.
I just think it's really interesting. When I came in today and I saw all that color
Mm-hmm.
on that wall, it changed like the whole entire feel of the room.
Yeah.
And then I look over here and I read a poem about trees and I see trees in 4 of them,
Mm-hmm.
5 of them. Anyway, I just find it interesting.
I do too.
Thank
That's
you.
why I like art.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jamie.
guys.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you always for brightening our lives when we're in the boardroom. All right, we'll commence then with my report out. And, I appreciated the conversation about the strategic plan earlier. Almost every month, I report out on one of our strategies or one of our goals with the strategies that you've approved. And we do hold ourselves accountable. So in continuing with that until you come up with the additional strategies that you're talking about and goals, then we'll continue to report on what we've been doing, which is quite massive. So just a reminder of our vision and our mission, looking at the characteristics of our vision. I so appreciate that there are actionable words. So when you look at the terms, notice that they're verbs. Participate, uphold, provide, engage, strengthen, pursue, embody, develop, advocate, provide, manage, direct, protect. So this is not a passive strategic plan that you're putting forward. It's actionable, and it should be, so that you can align strategies with these goals that then we hold ourselves accountable to. A reminder of the 4 goals. I think you all have these memorized by now, but today I'm reporting out on the strategies for early learning that you also approved. And the actions that we take according to these strategies, of course, we have developed, but you approve at the strategy level. So we're going to be talking about 1A, which is promoting high quality instruction in early grade classrooms. 1B is increasing optional access to high quality extended day kindergarten. 1C, increasing optional access to high quality preschool. And 1D, increasing engagement of families with young children and early learning experiences. Now, I hope you've all had the experience I have. Most of you you've had the opportunity to raise young children, be around young children. I'm envious of those of you who are raising grandchildren. I'm not to that stage yet and hope someday to be, but those of us who have spent time in schools, I always love to go to kindergarten or preschool. If I was having a hard moment, that's where I got my therapy, because there's just magic that happens in our early learning classrooms. But I thought that it would be helpful to give you some information around early childhood. You've talked and debated about preschool and where that fits in. We have employees who focus on pre-K by virtue of the grants that we have, both from state and federal funding sources, and they are so well respected throughout the state. I want you to know that about our preschool team. They serve on committees, they present, they're just very well respected. I got an email today thanking me for members of our preschool team who have made a difference in some other spaces. But we don't often talk about the data of early childhood in our state. So I wanted to share this with you. The source came from the Annie C. Casey Foundation, and they got their data from the Utah Kids Count data book. So you can see that almost 250,000 children in Utah are under the age of 5. And if I've been in some settings where it seems a lot more than that, because my husband likes to say it sounds like howler monkeys when everybody's crying at once and they're under the age of 5. If you look at the next the next piece, it talks about the experiences of children with parents in the labor force, and I want to underscore all. So of the 246,000, almost a little over half of those students or those children have both parents, or one if they have a single parent household, who are in the workforce, meaning that they need some kind of childcare. Next, we have a report of 112,000 children who have family read to them 4 or fewer days a week. So almost half of our children under the age of 5 are not getting read to at all, we can assume. 67,000 of our students under 19 are experiencing intergenerational poverty. It was so nice today to hear that data from our principal of the year from Park City, who they had made a concentrated effort to try and turn that around and to be able to get 86% of their, if I'm remembering that data right, Carol, member Lear, that 86% of their first-gen students were going on to post-secondary education. So those targeted efforts can really help turn that around. 58,000 3- and 4-year-olds do not attend a preschool program, in large part, as I was listening to a report last week, I believe it was on KSL radio, that it's all about affordability and accessibility. A, we don't have enough, and B, what we do have are sometimes just not affordable. Next, 23,000 children under the age of 6 experience poverty, and we've had an increase over time. So we often report out students who are at or below the poverty level, because if you're just right at it, sometimes you don't get services for those, like families who might be below the poverty line and yet experiencing some of the same issues with poverty. I think that's probably a comment in the wrong place, but 9,300 confirmed cases of child abuse for children under 18. You talked about materials and training for teachers and materials for students today. So think about that. We generally hear 1 in 7 students, but multiple forms of child abuse are in that category. 53% of children experience mental or behavioral conditions without treatment. And again, this comes from the Utah Kids Count data book. I'm sure we could drill down into that, but I thought it'd be interesting for you to hear the data around early childhood experiences in our state. So moving on to strategies, what are we trying to do to help? Going back to the strategies I mentioned, let's talk about the uptick that we've seen in full day K. And we've, of course, worked on this for a few years, but we're excited to report that there were an additional 707 students who were able to, classrooms rather. There were additional 707 kindergarten classrooms. That's not reading right. Kindergarten classrooms saw, let me redo that. My notes are not matching the slide. Kindergarten classrooms saw an additional 707 students. And if you look further, you can see that over half of our districts are reporting that 95 to 100% of kindergartners are now attending optional full-day kindergarten. And our charters, the same thing, almost half reporting that 95 to 100% of kindergartners are attending full-day kindergarten. So before that, remember where we started, the data point was about 30% of our students, or 3 in 10 students, and now I think we're at about 77% of our students are attending full-day K. So that's very commendable. And it was a priority of the boards to get that passed a couple of years ago. Strategy 1C, again, just thinking about how do we help our preschool educators have the skills that they need to offer high quality preschool education. So you can see that 300 educators plus have participated in professional learning. You've heard a lot about letters, and you have dedicated funds towards letters training, and we have seen an uptick in this, and our goal is to build capacity in the LEA so that we're not being dependent on to provide the training, but we can facilitate that, and that it becomes a way of being in districts. So in our pre-service programs, teachers should be coming out of pre-service, really understanding the science of reading, that teachers who have been practicing in the classrooms understand and can not only complete the training, but then it turns up in their classroom in their daily practice and just becomes a way of being. And we're really starting to see this take root. So additional data. One of the things I want to point out are the number of preschool teachers, preschool administrators, and literacy coaches, so beyond preschool teachers who are engaged in the science of reading. Strategy 1D was our family engagement strategy, and I just am so proud of our staff for the way that they have collaborated with other agencies and entities and community partners to get out and present some of these early learning strategies for families in a variety of places. And if you look at the dates and the different places that they've been to, you can see that they're really trying to promote just simple practices of early learning that families and parents can engage in. I'm going to shift gears now and move from early learning to adult learning. And you just had a discussion and voted on performance management. And one of the things that we have long been focused on is developing leadership in our own agency, but we realized it had been a while. We did some work on change management. Dr. Norman, I would say that was, you and Dr. Nye were the leaders of that, and that was probably 7 years ago. And over time, we realized we've had new leadership emerge, and also everyone in this agency is a leader. And so we had a call for more of that kind of support. So we had a 2-day, 1.5 day, we'll call it 2 because we kept talking about it at the end of the day, kind of a redress, if you will, from Dr. Cotter, John Cotter's change management model. And we use this as a way to become more inspiring and effective leaders and to really help manage and sustain change in our agency. And again, just a great 1.5 days with a lot of feedback and people represented from every one of our sections. So we're working on some of the things that you will find in the audit. And one of those is just not only with onboarding, but making sure we sustain leadership training. We also have an annual tradition. I think we've been doing this now for maybe 4 or 5 years. Our Employee Action Committee really puts together a great back to school day for our own staff. It's our annual food truck and blood drive. And it's a fun way. We have a lot of new hires over the summer, and so it's a fun way to get to know people in a casual setting. I want to thank Member Bogus, who I think you were doing a drive-by, ma'am, between your gigs. You weren't teaching yet, but able to stop by. And Member Vice Chair Earl was there as well. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. But Chair Moss, did I miss you? Were you there?
I was kind of there.
Kind of there. Okay. Well,
I parked out there and said hi. I didn't
you
get
were
to grub from the food
you were
truck.
waving from your truck.
Fun.
Well, we had a fabulous day, and we had a record turnout for the blood drive as well. They were really pleased to see that we had more sign up than any other agency, and there was a good bloodletting in this very room, and we were able to contribute to, oh goodness, it wasn't the Red Cross, it was ARUP, correct? ARUP. So thanks to all who signed up, including Deputy Jones and I'm always, whenever I give blood, I'm going to make sure he's my wingman. He keeps everyone entertained and takes your mind off of that giant needle and bag hanging out of your arm. So very much appreciated Deputy Jones and his good spirit. But fun tradition and such great thanks to our Employee Action Committee who keeps our morale high by planning fun events almost every month. Last but not least, isn't this an awesome day that we get to start with our school leaders, celebrating them, and we end the evening by celebrating our teachers at Teacher of the Year. So you'll be able to meet the finalists and get to know a little bit more about them. And Chair Moss and I will be giving out a big check. And then one of the traditions that we've started is going out and visiting these 5 finalists in the next, we try to do it within the couple of weeks after the banquet. Just depends on my schedule, but I love doing that. And we take physical checks to them and make a big deal in front of their kids and their school, and it's fun to see them in their element. And another thing that's different this year, we are going to be at the Rotunda, and it will be a very special event. So thanks to Katie Jones and those who support her for putting on a great event, and we look forward to seeing you there and celebrating our teachers. And with that, Chair Moss, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you. And that is a fun event. All five, I was on the charter board when I was on the committee that selected, so it's been a while, but amazing. All five always have amazing diversity and breadth, and it's going to be fun. So thank you, Superintendent Dixon.